beautiful blessing to be able finally to come back and gather again in satsang together. It's been several weeks. The Omicron surge hit India and Uttarakhand and Rishikesh with a bang. And so we had to change a lot of our restrictions and situations and not be able to have people gather together here in satsang. And we were all being caretaking and isolated and quiet. And now, fortunately, things are getting better. And we're still under restrictions, but realized we can at least gather with all of you from your homes, wherever you are in the world, and be here with our beautiful core Seva family here at Parmarth. So I'm so happy. So happy to be back together with all of you. And as you can imagine, we've got a lot of questions that have come in advance. We're also live on Instagram this time, which is the first time that we've done the two of them together. So we'll actually be able to have people on Instagram come onto the screen and ask a question there as well. But we'll begin with one of them that has come from all of you in advance. How do you know when it's time to continue holding on or time to let go? It depends what it is. There are some things we should never let go of, no matter what. The truth of who we are, our dharma, our highest purpose, our truth, love, connection to God, faith, hope. These are things no matter what happens, we never should let go. No matter how unlovingly someone may treat us, we don't have to let go of the love in our hearts just because someone else is being arrogant or full of ego or in ignorance. We should never let go of our truth, no matter what's happening around us. I know it's so easy, and there's such a pull also sometimes in business, in society, to just kind of cut corners, do things that we're not really proud of. But our truth, our integrity, something that we should never ever let go of. No amount of money or success or fame or popularity should ever be something that pulls us off center. Because whatever we get from that money, from that acclaim, from that fame, from that popularity, is nothing compared to that peace, that joy of living anchored and connected and true. And then there are some things that we shouldn't hold on to even for a moment, that we should let go of before we even grab onto them. Illusions, grudges, anger, false expectations. I mean, there's so much to let go of. So in terms of the question, the way that you know when to let go and when to hold on is ask yourself, is what I'm holding on to serving me? So for example, it's chilly now, it's winter in Rishikesh, so yeah, I want to hold on to my shawl. It's serving me. But as the weeks and months go by, there's going to come a time when this shawl not only isn't serving me, but it's hindering me. It'll be too hot. I'll sweat unnecessarily. So we let it go. So ask yourself really, is what I'm holding on to, is it in alignment with my highest goal? Is it helping me, enabling me, empowering me, inspiring me to live as the truth of who I am? Or is it something that, it's what the neighbors want me to be, or it's what the society wants me to be, or it's what some influencer I follow on social media wants me to be, or it's what I've always thought I should be because it's what culture says. You understand when things no longer fit. It's like you wear clothes, and as kids, we outgrow clothes every 6 months, every year. You don't have to ask a child, do you think you should hold on or let go? The kid knows the shoes no longer fit. The jeans no longer fit. In the same way with our expectations, our identifications, our goals, that which we're looking to achieve in life, this changes. It changes as we change spiritually. It changes as we change with the phases of life. We've got a goal when we're a student. We've got a goal when we're in the, householder phase of life. But slowly, our goals change. And even as students, even as householders, when we're spiritually inspired and connected, we realize that there's a goal that's much higher than making money and having a good job and building a beautiful house and having the friends and neighbors jealous of you. There's a goal that's much higher than that. So you are the only one who knows. But ask yourself honestly and courageously, does this still fit me? Is this helping me? Is this in alignment with where I want to go? And if yes, hold on. In the face of everything. Yesterday was Holocaust Remembrance Day, and I shared with many of you about Anne Frank. Well, she's someone who held on to the joy, the hope, the love of who she was, even in the face of the most monstrous trauma, evil that we could imagine. So when something is ours, we hold on to it. When it's not, we let it go. So before taking another question that's come in advance, I know we have people on Instagram who want to join. The button at the bottom on your left side? No, not that one. Left side? Sagar the kaya ko? That one. Yeah. Perfect. So they'll let you in, and hopefully the question askers will be able to ask loudly enough so that everyone will be able to hear. And if not, then I'll just repeat it. We're hoping we get the tech working in such a way that everyone will be able to hear it. Okay, so while it's taking a moment for this person on Instagram to join, I'll take another question that has come in advance, and our beautiful team will work out to get the... Oh, there it is, sweetie. Okay, so you can just keep trying to bring them up, and in the meantime, I'll take another one. How can you become someone you're proud to be? Oh, okay, so we've just lost the internet connection on Instagram. No problem, they'll bring it back up. How can you become someone you're proud to be? the way to become someone we are proud to be is by asking ourselves, who do we want to be? What is the truth of who we are? Who are we at the core? Because we're only going to be proud to be able to be us if we are actually living as us. You're never going to be proud if you're putting on a show. You're never going to be proud if you're telling lies. Doesn't matter how many, followers you may get, or how much money you may make, or how much acclaim you may get, or where you may reach on a success level. If you're not living in accordance with your values, your ethics, your truth, you're never going to be proud. This is where so many people who are so wealthy, so successful, who seem to have everything, are actually not happy, and are actually not living in peace, and are turning to addictions, to alcohol, to drugs, to food, to gambling, to so much, because inside they are not happy. They're not sad. Because they know that how they're living isn't in alignment with that truth. So, to be proud of who you are is to be living in accordance with what your values, your ethics, your highest truth is. And that's critical. So ask yourself, really, who am I? Yes, we know on the deepest spiritual soul level, who we are is soul, is spirit, is consciousness, is divine essence. But also, who are we in this particular karmic journey, karmic experience? Who are we? What is my role here in this incarnation? Ask yourself that. And allow the answer to really flow. So many of us spend our lives just trying to be and become what others around us are. What the neighbors are, what our siblings are, what we think we're supposed to be. But that doesn't make you proud. So, you know who you really are. Live that. In psychology, there's a concept, a teaching that we speak about called cognitive dissonance. And what cognitive dissonance means is that in order to be really happy, in order to be really peaceful, I need my beliefs and my actions to be in alignment. And if they're not in alignment, it causes dissonance, lack of consonance. So let's say, for example, that I am addicted to cigarette smoking. That's my action. But I know that cigarette smoking is horrible for me. So the first thing I'm going to do probably is try to change the action. I will try to quit smoking. But if I can't do that, if I keep trying, and for whatever reason I'm not able to quit smoking, slowly I will decide that, actually, maybe smoking isn't so bad. Maybe it's just all propaganda from these, companies that are trying to kill the tobacco industry. I'll start to tell stories of, my friend's grandmother was 95 and she smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day. I'll change what I believe to match my action. Because that dissonance creates too much stress inside of me. And so in the same way in our lives, if I've got a belief that says that honesty and truthfulness are core values of mine, but I've got a job or pastime or a hobby that for whatever reason is definitely not honest and truthful. Maybe it harms others in some way. Maybe we're just lying or cheating on our taxes or cheating people in the company. Maybe we're producing things in sweatshops that are harming women and children. Well, that's going to create dissonance. If I've got this ethical value that says violence is bad, lying is bad, truthfulness is the best, non-violence is the best. Today, of course, is Gandhiji's Martyrdom Day, so it's a perfect day to emphasize that value of non-violence, of truthfulness. And yet, if I don't quit my job, or I don't change how I'm living in my job, or how I'm living in my life, or the clothes that I'm buying, or the food that I'm eating, if I don't change that, slowly what's going to happen is I'm going to change my thought. And this is where you see people who lie, who cheat, who steal, who harm. And in order to create consonance in them, they change how they think. So suddenly they're saying things like, yeah, everybody's lying, everybody's cheating, it's the only way to get ahead. Or they'll blame others. They'll say, well, it's not my fault. I had no choice because this person did this or that person did this. We'll always look to bring our thought, our value, our ethics, in alignment with our actions. The best way is let your actions match your values. As your values are, as your ethics are, as your principles are, act. If you think honesty is important, don't lie. If you think nonviolence is important, don't eat food, wear clothes, buy products, live in a way that's profiting from violence. That's the easiest and the best way. Because otherwise, if you don't, what you will find is you actually will lose your values and you will lose your ethics. Because they will start to change in accordance with your actions. And that becomes the biggest problem. So you know what your values are, what your ethics are, what your principles are. If you want to be proud of how you live, and you want to live in consonance, not in dissonance, act according to those values and ethics. It's actually quite simple. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple. Before I take another question that's come in advance, if there are questions either here or, sure, we've got a question that's come from online. Tracy?
What does moksha or final freedom feel like?
Moksha. So, what does it feel like? It feels beautiful. It feels blissful. It feels free. Imagine what it would feel like to be in jail and then suddenly to be free. That's what it feels like. It's Cardo. It feels like imagine that you've been living in a cage, in a dark cage, but you don't know you're living in a dark cage. Imagine that you've been living in that. And then suddenly one day, someone comes and they open the door and they turn the light on and you're free. And the cage itself just dissolves. You don't even actually have to walk out of it. That's what moksha feels like. That's what freedom feels like. Only in retrospect do you really realize how stuck you were. Because when we're still living in illusion, we look around and we think, oh, this is life. Yes, I am my drama, I am my history, I am my personality, I am my relationships. Yes, I will be happy only when this person is doing what I want, acting the way that I want. Then I will be happy. We live in that jail of needing the world, needing other people to be a certain way so that we can feel happy, so that we can feel peaceful, because we don't know who we are. And so that inner experience is constantly going up and down. Constantly. Like waves in a stormy sea. Freedom, moksha, is being free of those waves. Being free of your internal experience, constantly going up and down, based on how other people are, based on how the universe is behaving. It's no longer needing an external story to tell you who you are. It's no longer depending on anything for your own inner joy, inner bliss. That is freedom. Most of us live in various degrees of being stuck. But we don't even realize it. And this is where, thankfully, we have our beautiful teachings, our beautiful scriptures to keep reminding us, don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in this veil of Maya, this veil of illusion. You can be free. So, yeah, it's indescribable on many levels. It's something that words don't really do justice to. It's an experience. In Hindi we say an anubhav. Of that complete freedom. Yeah, it's nothing that words are very, very good at describing, but the beautiful thing is it's something that every one of us is capable of experiencing and having. So all of you, through your practice, through your meditation, through your prayers, can find that moksha. In order to have it, we just have to let go of that which is not self. The jail isn't by someone else. The jail isn't by the weather or the traffic or the stock market or someone else's behavior. The jail is our own mind. There's a beautiful teaching that says, Man eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. The mind is the key. It's the key to our freedom. It's the key to our bondage. As we let go of that which is not self, that space for that which is self emerges. But in order to be free, we have to be prepared to let go of that which is not self. The ego, the stories, the identities, the histories, the attachments, the expectations, all of the stuff that we've accumulated our grudges, our whole stories, our whole identities of who we think we are. We need to be prepared to let go of that. Most of you have heard me over the last many months since my memoir, Hollywood to the Himalayas, came out. Most of you have heard me so many times talk in so many ways about my experience of letting go, my experience of letting go of this identity of who I thought I was, in order to be able to be free in the truth of who I actually am. And that's something that's possible for all of you. So, if there are, and sweetie, you can zoom that also. Yeah. Even a little more, I think. Yeah, much better. So we've just been joined the first time successfully. They were working out the tech as we were together on our YouTube and Facebook family. So we've been joined, Shivani, who have we been joined by?
The yogic way.
I'm sorry?
The yogic way.
Okay. What is the name again, sweetie?
The yogic way.
The yogic way. So we've been joined by the yogic way, but we can't hear you. You have to pull that out, I think. Yeah. That needs to be pulled out, Sagar. No, not the phone. That. Yes. There's no voice.
There's no one.
Oh, okay. So there's no one on the yogic way. Okay, no problem. So the next person we can, actually now somebody else has just done. Perfect. And you can, if you can remove the yogic way, then we can remove that person. Okay, there is someone, it seems. The yogic way, you're here with us live? Okay, no problem. There they are. Yes. Yes, we can hear you. No, don't put that in there. Until the answer time. Can you share? We can hear you. Okay, so in the meantime that they sort out that tech, we can take another question from, and if you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube and you have a question, feel free to put the question in the comments, and our beloved Tracy will read it out loud for me.
This comes from Instagram.
Okay.
I want to connect with spiritualism in my heart, but somehow I am lost in the materialistic life. How do I connect myself in the spiritual world constantly?
Beautiful, beautiful question. How do we connect ourselves in the spiritual world when we're lost in the material world? Well, first of all, there's no reason to be lost in the material world. Having a job, even having a beautiful profession, career, vocation, calling, and doing that, performing that in the world is no reason why you can't stay spiritually anchored and connected. Our teachings remind us over and over again. Spirituality does not mean you have to leave the world. It's actually about how we live in the world. The Bhagavad Gita, the core beautiful tenet of our tradition, is spoken on a battlefield. It's spoken in the middle of a war. Why? I mean, think about it. It's God. When God is giving scripture, it could be given anytime, anywhere. Why did the divine, why did Krishna choose to speak to us through Arjuna in the middle of a war on a battlefield? Because our lives are battlefields. We're constantly in conflict, in turmoil, within ourselves, different poles, the path of what in the Upanishads we're taught, the path of Shreya, the path of Preya, the path basically of goodness, righteousness, or the path of our desires, our attachments, our illusions. So we're pulled in that battle. We're also constantly in a battle just in the world. Conflict and fighting and jealousy and expectations and so many difficulties. It was spoken to us on a battlefield to remind us the answer is not leave the world. Arjuna says it. Arjuna says, fine, you know what? I don't want to fight this war. Forget it. I don't need the land. I don't need the kingdom. I don't need anything. Forget it. And Bhagwan Krishna says, no, not so fast. Your dharma is not to run off this battlefield into a cave in the Himalayas. Your dharma is to be right here with your bow, with your arrows, fighting this war. That's your dharma. And that message is given to us through Arjuna. So don't worry about being in the material world. Just don't be lost. That's the key spiritually, is how can we live in the world, but not have the world live inside of us. It's why in India, the lotus flower is this very, very special, revered flower. Why? Because the lotus flower lives in the muck. But it grows so purely, so beautifully. In the muck, but untouched by the muck. So the lotus is in the muck, but the muck is not in the lotus. And in the same way, the key is we live in the world. In the midst of that conflict, or in the midst of that materialism, in the midst of all of that story, that drama, that battlefield. But we don't take it into us. That's the key. So do your duty. Whatever that duty may be, do it. Do it sincerely. Hopefully you love it. Hopefully as you're moving through the world, you're able to find joy, find bliss, find satisfaction and fulfillment in doing it. And simultaneously, remember, that isn't the highest goal. That's not actually the highest truth of who you are. This is where, again, Bhagwan Krishna reminds us, remember me and fight the war. Remember me. That's the first piece. Stay anchored in your spiritual awareness, your spiritual connection, and do your duty. For Arjuna, that was fight the war. For us, it's something different. Remember God. Whatever name, whatever form you may connect to the divine in, it doesn't matter. Remember God. The divine within yourself. You could say, remember yourself, your highest self, and do your duty. Engage in action. Here at Parmarth Niketan every morning in our beautiful prayers, there's a beautiful line that says, Mukh me ho Ram nam, Ram seva hath me. It means allow the name of God to be chanting on your lips all the time. And allow God's work to be in your hands. It's not sit at home all day long, don't go out, don't do anything, and only chant my name. It's keep chanting my name. Means keep staying connected, staying anchored, staying aware, staying conscious. And do your work. Do your duty. That work of the divine here on earth that each of us is called to do. So the material world is not the problem. It's like I said in the last question about moksha. It's not the outer world that's the problem. It's not the outer world that is keeping us stuck. Yes, there's the allure of Maya for sure. But it's our internal mindset that is allowing ourselves, that is dancing with Maya, that is allowing ourselves to be wrapped up in that veil of illusion. It's our mindset. And so you need to decide, where do you want your mind to be? Because you can't move in two directions simultaneously with our attention and our intention. So either my attention is focused, my intention is focused spiritually, or it's focused materially. You can't be focused in both directions simultaneously. So the goal is have the attention, have the intention spiritually, but keep doing your duty, engaged in action. But just let the full attention of our awareness, of our consciousness, always be rooted spiritually. Like Krishna says, remember me. Like the prayer says, let the name of God be on your lips. So our conscious awareness is focused on the divine, focused spiritually. And we are doing the work with God's work on our hands, fighting that metaphoric war in the world, serving in the world. Just don't get lost. Remember you. You are your own anchor. And stay anchored with the self. Yes, do we have another? We'll give the Instagram Live another try. We are ever hopeful technologically. Maybe try the bottom one? Or no, that one. Oh, there we go. It came. Wonderful. Yes, we can see you. Can you speak loudly though for our? Yes, Shivani, who is it that's joined us live?
Kriti.
I'm sorry? Preeti. Wonderful.
Kriti.
I'm sorry? Kriti, wonderful. So Kriti has joined us live on Instagram. And Kriti, if you can just ask your question a little bit loudly so that our audience here in this room and those joining us on YouTube and Facebook can also hear your question. I think so. Kriti, can you hear us? Okay, that is not working. We are not being so fortunate with our Insta Live. You want to try it one more time? Yeah. So we're just trying. This is the very first time we've done Instagram Live with our Facebook and YouTube, but since we're not doing satsangs here during this Omicron surge, we thought, let's give everybody on all platforms a beautiful opportunity. So, yes, who have we been joined by now?
Chandu.
Chanduji. Okay, Chandu.
Yeah, pranam Sadhviji.
Pranam, pranam. It worked. We can hear you. Wonderful.
Thanks, Sadhviji.
Jai Ange.
Thanks so much. So my question is, I've read in the Bhagavad Gita that it mainly lists three paths to liberation: the Jnana path, the Bhakti, and the Karma path. But I don't see any explicit mention of Kriya or Raja Yoga as a path to liberation. So is there a reason to it, or can we assume that Kriya or Raja Yoga is included as part of Jnana Marga?
Beautiful.
My question, Sadhviji.
Beautiful, beautiful question. And in case our Facebook and YouTube family didn't hear him, the question was that in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan Krishna speaks about Gyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, but he doesn't speak about Kriya Yoga or Raj Yoga. And so Chandu's asking us, are those also paths? Absolutely they are. There's nowhere that Bhagwan Krishna says, and these are the only ways. Remember, you're dealing with a very specific situation of Arjuna on a battlefield. He's Arjuna. How to experience, to know the truth of who he is, that divine truth of who he is, that he's that soul, that spirit, right, who was never born, never dies, cannot be burned with fire, cut with knives, wet with water, dried by the wind. He's giving him this spiritual teaching in only 700 short verses on the battlefield. And there's no place in which he says, there is no other truth, there is no other path other than what I have just spoken. And so, yes, absolutely. There have been beautiful, beautiful teachings in other scriptures about Kriya Yoga, about Raja Yoga. There's as many different ways of getting into that divine river, you could say, the divine river of oneness with God, because what yoga is, yoga means union. Union of the self with the divine. So Bhagwan Krishna is not saying there's only three ways. He's sharing these three ways that you can think of apply to everyone, even those who are not so much the seated sadhaks. Remember, Arjuna is a warrior. Bhagwan Krishna is not guiding him in 700 verses on a detailed path of meditation. He's not guiding him on a path of yogasana. He's not guiding him on a path of pranayama. He's not guiding him on so many ways that are practices that those who are dedicated to a sadhana, you could say, are going to use as ways to experience yoga. The sage Patanjali gave us, right, 8 limbs of yoga. For a sadhak, if you want to attain samadhi through yoga, here's how you do it. Bhagwan Krishna was giving the teaching of everything in 700 verses of how to live it and know it in life on a battlefield. So he wasn't speaking so much to the actual seated practices. He gave a little bit. He gave a little bit about how we make our asana, what it should be comprised of. He gave a little bit speaking about now that you've got your asana, now that you are established in asana, you are ready to begin the practice of yoga. So he spoke to it. But he spoke to it only in a few a few verses, and he didn't go into too many details other than how to create an asan. But of course, that was just an asan for this beautiful practice of what you could call a meditation to experience that truth that he spoke about. A seated asan for my practice of Gyan Yoga, for my practice of Bhakti Yoga. But he didn't speak about, as you mentioned, the Kriyas. He didn't speak about the practice of Raj Yoga. Those are other very beautiful, very powerful ways of entering this experience of oneness. But they're just not what fell into that 700 verse beautiful treatise of life that is the Bhagavad Gita. But you know, the way that I love to think about it is we live here on the banks of Ganga. And ultimately the point is get into Ganga, bathe, dubki lagao. But it doesn't matter how you get in, right? So maybe here at Parmarth Niketan, we've got our beautiful ghat, it's marble steps. Go downriver a bit to Gita Bhavan. They've got their ghat. There's also a, cement sort of sloping pathway down with a railing. Go upriver. Go up to Ramjula, there's a sandy beach. Go up further, past Lakshmanjula, there's rocks. But Ganga is not saying, I love you most if you go in down Parmarth Niketan's ghat, or I love you most if you jump off the rock up at Lakshmanjula. All we've got to do is get into Ganga. However we can get in. She's not giving, special moksha to those who get in a certain way or at a certain place. So Bhagwan Krishna has given us the essence, the very core essence of this path of union. But by no means does that mean that the incredible Vedas that we have, all of the other incredible teachings, the Ramayana, the Srimad Bhagavatam, all of the commentaries, the Smritis, the Puranas, there's so much. In our wealth of scriptures, there have been so many divine beings who have given us such divine wisdom. Use it all. Use it all. Whatever is the path that works for you, just get into that river. Get into that river. Have your bath. And we will take another on Instagram. And you'll have to remove that thing from the bottom so that we can hear them.
Hello, hi.
Beautiful. So who are we joined with now?
Sapna.
I'm sorry?
Sapna.
Sapna. So we've been joined by Sapna on Instagram. Jai Gange Sapna, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Sadhviji.
Your phone, I think your phone is sideways.
I know.
Now it's right. Now it's good. Yes.
So, I have been having some questions and a lot of confusions, and I feel lost. I'm pretty sure many people feel lost at this point, and I've been feeling this way from 2020.
Okay.
The question that bothers me most now is, I've seen one of your videos recently, the one you put with the stone in the river, that washes the squared stone.
Yes.
Stone, okay, and it's lovely.
And those of you, by the way, on YouTube and Facebook, don't worry. I'm going to repeat Sapna's question. I realize that you probably aren't able to hear it quite so loudly.
All right.
Yes, go on.
So my question is, are we expected to become smooth and stone? I feel at least for me, that we are expected to be something at the end of this, and I don't get that. I feel it's really hard to, I am willing to let go of, I am willing to try anything that will put me in a state of ease or comfort, but I'm just not able to, I'm just finding it so confusing because I don't understand what is the goal of this, where
Beautiful.
I'm supposed to reach it.
Okay.
Sometimes all of that come up, and I feel lost. At that time, I wonder, do I have to breathe and come at the present moment and be mindful? What is it that I'm supposed to do when all that confusion, keeps popping up? And it's also got to do with states of mind, because some days I feel I don't have those questions because my state of mind is more relaxed and it's distracted rather. And sometimes I feel that when I am not in that state of mind, there's so many questions and I just feel like I'm drowning and I don't have the answers.
Okay. So first of all, what Sapna asked a very in-depth question about what's the point of all of this? She was referring to a video that we had done recently about the square, rough rock becoming smooth, and she was saying, is that the point? Are we supposed to, become something else? What are we doing here? And she said she feels really lost. She's not sure what she's supposed to be doing or becoming. So, first of all, you are not supposed to become something other than what you are, for sure. However, the metaphor about the rough square rock with the rough edges, the sharp edges, into being smooth in the flow of Ganga, that metaphor has to do with the difficulties, the struggles, the trials and tribulations that we experience in our life. And we feel sometimes like we get knocked around, like there's a lot of quite literal turbulence, rapids, pressure. And yet, when you look at ourselves, after we have gone through that, if instead of fighting that, we allow it, we allow ourselves to be shaped by the experiences that we're having rather than trying to fight them, that we allow ourselves to be transformed by the river of life, that's where we lose that hardness, that sharpness. Because with a rock, of course, the sharpness only hurts others. But in our heart, when our hearts are hard and rough and sharp, it hurts us long before it hurts others. Our own anger, our own internal negativity, that's hurting ourselves long before we hurt others, right? It's said that being angry is like drinking poison and expecting the other guy to die, right? That roughness inside is like that poison. So the metaphor has to do with our hearts and our lives, and that as difficulties come, as challenges come, rather than staying hard and rough and angry and fighting life, we actually allow the difficulties that we experience to smoothen us. We allow it to actually shape us in a very beautiful way. So that's what that little metaphor around the size of and the shape of the rocks was about. And in terms of you and this feeling of restlessness and feeling lost, don't ask yourself, what am I supposed to do or be? These questions will kill you. Because they're questions of the mind, and they're questions that drive us crazy. And they're questions that are rooted ultimately in ignorance. And so ignorance just begets ignorance. And then it's just the mind like that, cat chasing its own tail. Instead of that, ask yourself, who am I? Let that be the only question you ask. Not what am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to be? How am I supposed to be? None of that. Ask yourself one question and one question only. Who am I? And allow that to be the question that you meditate on. And you may find that in the beginning you get some kind of shallow and superficial answers. You know, your mind will tell you, well, I'm too old for this, or I'm too young for that, or I'm this race, I'm this religion, I'm, too fat, I gained too much weight over the pandemic, or your mind will do that in the beginning. It's okay, don't fight it. Just allow that to happen for a moment, but keep reminding yourself that is not you. Niti niti. We've done this beautiful niti niti meditation here so many times. If you weren't here when we did it, there's in these archives on YouTube, on Facebook, there's so many beautiful times that we've been together where we've actually done the niti niti meditation. Not this. Not this. I'm not the clothes I wear. I'm not the skin beneath the clothes. I'm not my role. I'm not my job. I'm not my relationships. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not the chemistry or electricity in my brain that we call, thoughts or feelings or memories. I'm none of that. So keep asking yourself, who am I? Who am I? And when these answers arise that you know are not you, just tell yourself, niti, not this, not this. And allow yourself, as you become clear of what you are not your history, not what's happened to you, not what you've done, not the money in your bank account. All of this is not you. Because you say, right, it's my money. If it's my money, then the money is not me. Right? My shawl. Shawl is not me. My anger, my thoughts, my emotions, they're not me. So who is I? And just keep asking yourself, who am I? The awareness of who you are is the point of it all. That is why we're here. That is what we are called upon to do, is to discover that. Begin it in your beautiful seated meditative practice, but then carry it with you in your day. Carry it with you, whatever you're doing. You're driving, you're cooking, you're washing dishes, you're working at a computer, whatever you may be doing. Just keep asking yourself, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And allow that beautiful self-awareness to arise. So regardless of whether you are doing the dishes, or doing the computer work, or doing the driving, who you are stays constant. Regardless of what size or shape or age or color you may be, who you are is constant. Throughout your life, you've been so many sizes, so many shapes. You've played so many roles. But you has stayed constant, that I, right? That I that we were speaking about, that Bhagavan Krishna spoke, is never born, never dies. Find that I. Don't worry about being square or round. Don't worry about that. Just go straight to the depth. Who are you? Who are you? And as that truth blossoms, what you will do will start to come naturally. And even more important than the what is the who who and the how. So whatever you are doing it as you. It's like, again, going back to the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna says to Krishna, how does a wise one act? How is the yogi, right? And I won't go into all of it now. We're coming to the close, but there's beautiful, beautiful passages of how that wise one moves through the world. Not because they have to put, post-it sticky notes up to remind them how to live in the world, but because they are the one who knows who they are. When we know who we are, how to live, what to do, how to do it, it'll come like beautiful flow in the river Ganga. Beautiful. It's been such a beautiful joy to join with all of you this evening. And I think, other than our little bit of some tech snafus on Instagram in the beginning, that it was a very technically successful and very, very, very joyful, very beautiful opportunity to be back with you all, even as we are in this time of Omicron restrictions. We will definitely be bringing you more live satsangs. We'll do them like this. We'll try to do them at least once a week, and hopefully by God's grace, we will soon be pandemic free, and we will all be able to gather back together here on the banks of Mother Ganga. And so, so, so much love to all of you. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay anchored, stay grounded, stay inspired, and stay full of the love of who you are. And so much love from here, our hearts, to all of you.